Hello, everyone, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're well. This is Flake. I've got another top 5 list for you to digest here, and this time we're talking about cards that might be punching a little above their weight. Cards that might need to be reined in a little bit, put a leash on it just a tad. And these, of course, are cards that are overperforming, perhaps. And you know what? They're the bang for their buck is awesome, and they may see a little haircut down the line. These are top 5 cards we might see nerfed very soon. All right, at number 5, it's Foltest. Now, Foltest is kind of a card that, when it was released, there was a lot of build-around potential, that this was a centerpiece type card that you can build an entire deck around. Who needs, all the crazy Commando Scout, Blue Stripe Scouts to make constant commandos, etc., when you have something like Foltest that's just going to get the job done for you passively. Now, the power level of Foltest is not that it's just this gigantic centerpiece card, because that's no longer what it seems to be. Foltest right now is oftentimes just a pressure style card that does help out with whatever kind of strategy you're running. If you're running, commandos, sure, absolutely, this is fantastic for you to supplement that commando cloning strategy, but it's also great with a Dun Banner cavalry that just constantly replicates and summons itself. It's an engine piece that is very, very difficult to rein in because it just generates immense amount of points. At 6 body, it is tough to remove the old-fashioned way, and if you go ahead and jam it behind a defender, or if you slam a little Crystal Skull Veil boost on it, it is immensely difficult to get rid of without expending a big-time removal piece. I think that Foltest itself is likely going to get maybe a 1 provision tax on it. I think that it's still pretty okay, but the potential that this card demonstrates on any kind of deck as a pressure tactic is a little bit, maybe a hair too much. At number 4, it's the Piggy. Now, this card is something that kind of flew under the radar for me. I didn't really grasp the full potential of what this card can do. I thought that it was difficult to pull off because it was going to be too late in a round to actually maintain Sabbath. But in reality, this card is actually pretty good because you drop it down usually on turn 3 or 4, and it starts to just go ahead and, self-preserve itself. It's like a beast that doesn't need any help. It just continues to grow, which will then, again, exponentially help your maintenance of Sabbath and keeping the pig alive. Now, at 4 body, at 4 strength, it immediately ticks up to 6, which puts it out of the range of a lot of the typical 5 damage spells, stuff like Boiling Oil or Stunning Blow or Nature's Rebuke. There's a ton of these that are prevalent in a lot of decks that just don't have the reach necessary to address the pig. Now, how do you really deal with this? Well, if the problem is the fact that it's difficult to actually rein in and answer when it's online, then removing 1 strength so that it ticks up to 5 might be the way to do it, in which case maybe it's just understated at that point. So it's a very tough one to balance. I think that this card might see a little bit of a 1-point haircut on it, but we'll find out soon enough. But I think that the Piggy in itself is on the radar. At number 3, it's not a card, it is an ability. How many of you have played Ladder any time in the past week or so and have not faced this gigantic onslaught of pincer maneuver decks? Siege is on the menu, ladies and gentlemen. It is very popular right now. There's variants of it. There's commandos with Siege. There's true, pure, and simple Siege. There's Siege with mage support. There's all kinds of Siege. Now, the way that you can kind of guarantee that you're getting the cards you need, very simple. You just play Pincer Maneuver, and Pincer Maneuver at a time was kind of, I don't want to say it was a joke, but it saw its share of, it was glossed over for other Northern Realms abilities. Things like Uprising or Shield Wall typically had a better chance of seeing play versus Pincer Maneuver. But now Pincer Maneuver seems to be like it's the only way for many people to play Northern Realms. And at the level that it has, the amount of provisions that it maintains, I think that shaving one of those provisions off might be something that CDPR is going to look at in order to maybe open up space for other leader abilities to maybe wheel back in to the meta. Because as it stands now, it's a pincer maneuver kind of season. At number 2, we're going to stick with the leader abilities, and it's going to be Jackpot. And I'm not saying that Jackpot is all-powerful. I think that Syndicate cards are, their gold package is quote-unquote all-powerful, but I feel like Jackpot really takes away any of that kind of caution that you have when it comes to managing your coin bank. When there's no penalty for over-profiting for the most part, it is very difficult for players to really mess up. It's hard for players on the other side to really exploit your opponent who's playing Jackpot and really make them have to choose awkward scenarios to spend their coins. No longer is there a situation where you have to jam in certain amount of spenders so that you're maintaining a decent float of your bank and not over profiting. At this point, you don't need too many spenders because you're jamming in a mutant maker, and any of the extra coins it's generating are just going right on top of its head. So there's nothing really that's going to cause you grief. Not to mention, let's be fair, how many of us have already been the victim of a Siggy and a Jacques that just gets absolutely out of control when a Cesar or a Caesar, I don't know how you pronounce it, jams in right between them and makes for a massive, massive last play. It's kind of crazy what Jackpot can do in conjunction with already powerful gold cards that Syndicate has, like Philippa, like Horson, and like Professor and Siggy, and so many that already exist. Jackpot just kind of takes away. It's like a little bit of training wheels for somebody who wants to practice or get better at Syndicate, because the penalties are not going to be there. So I do suspect that Jackpot's going to become a little bit thinner when it comes down to how many provisions you can play with. It's going to get the belt tightened on it a little bit, and I think that's a good thing. Now, at number 1, it is the ultimate value combo. Oh, yes, if you're going to the drive-thru and you say, give me the ultimate value combo, you're getting yourself a Blightmaker. It's just the way that it goes. Now, Blightmaker can be nerfed in multiple ways, frankly. You can nerf the Blightmaker, either the strength or the provision. You could also go ahead and nerf the Mage Assassin if necessary. You could even nerf the construct that the golem that it generates. There are so many ways that you can change Blightmaker, but all in all, a thinning play that generates 11 points of tempo, 9 body, 2 damage, is out of control. It is absurd. Now, I understand that there are certain criteria that you need to make the Blightmaker work. That criteria is just have a Mage Assassin in your deck. It's no different than having a second Rider in your deck, a second Sewer Raider in your deck, a second Mahakam Volunteer in your deck. It's the same kind of setup that you need. You need one in your hand and the other in your deck. Now, obviously, you need the Blightmaker in your hand and not the Mage Assassin, so there's a little bit more difficulty in terms of making sure you have the right one. It's not just both are the same and you toss the other. But still, the fact that this card does it all, an 11-point tempo play that thins out garbage from your deck, is tremendous. And I think that Blightmaker is likely going to see a little bit of a tone down in the future. So there it is, 5 cards that we are likely going to see nerfed in the near future. And again, this is coming with absolutely no inside information. I'm not saying this because I know and I'm trying to look smart. No, this is not... there's no inside info here. These are all my own premonitions based on what I've seen, what I've heard in terms of community response, and just the play rates and the effectiveness of these cards. So don't read too much into this because I am Flake and I know nothing. Nonetheless, what I do know is that you guys are awesome and I love you. So please take care of yourselves and be kind to one another. If you want to catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/WatchFlake, or on Twitter @WatchFlake, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on the video. It really, really, really helps me a lot. And if there's any cards that you think are going to be nerfed that need a nerf? Drop it in the comments because I want to know. I want to see. Maybe I missed some. Maybe some of these cards that I mentioned don't necessarily need a nerf at all. Either way, friends, thank you so much. That's it. That's all. Adios.